Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share some of the work that we are doing from the Department of Science and Innovation. So this is just a brief outline of the presentation that I'm going to give. There are a number of initiatives that we support as a Department of Science and Innovation in line with the white paper on science, technology, and innovation. But today I'm going to talk mostly on the work that we are doing on the hydrogen economy, and then briefly touch on the energy storage work as well. So as I said, our work is informed by the white paper on science, technology, and innovation, and the recent version of that paper was published in March 2019. Following approval by Cabinet. And really the highlights of that is we want to reposition science, technology, and innovation to ensure that it actually contributes to economic growth, gives us the relevant human capital to support that growth, but also to use knowledge for economic and inclusive development in support of a capable state. A number of areas that we are looking at as far as the energy transition is concerned. We are looking at supporting the diversification of the energy mix, but also reducing the carbon intensity within the energy mix. And we are doing that looking at potential areas like new energy vehicles in the mobility sector, but also looking at the creation of new industries related to those low carbon energy technologies that are anchored by locally developed intellectual property, because we believe that in order for those industries to be sustainable in the long term, then local intellectual property needs to be integral to those industries, as well as the knowledge workers that are going to be supporting industries in that regard. But more importantly, I think we also want to make sure that South African enterprises remain globally competitive by reducing the carbon intensity within our energy mix and also in various sectors of the economy, particularly in the face of all those punitive measures that we are seeing being implemented within the countries that we trade with. So in order to maintain our market share, then we need to make sure that we also meet our climate change obligations, or rather commitments. So within the energy space, from the DSI, we've got 4 flagship programs. The first one is the Renewable Energy Hub and Spokes Program, Energy Storage RDI, where we focus mainly on the lithium-ion battery technology, as well as the Hydrogen South Africa program. And last but not least, we are looking at carbon capture and utilization through the Core CO2 program. So when we support these programs, our intention is to reduce emissions, but also to make sure that these alternative technologies find space within the energy mix, but also within the broader economy. And our main focus is looking at technologies that leverage our mineral resource endowment. So things like local value addition and minerals beneficiation is is an integral part of those that technology development cycle. Here I'm just showing you how one of the flagship programs, which is the Hydrogen South Africa program, is basically transitioned from an RDI program into now what we consider to be a national industrialization initiative based on the Hydrogen Society roadmap that we have developed. So typically in an RDI program, you are looking at supporting masters and PhD students. Those are the knowledge workers that you support. And they generate knowledge in the form of intellectual property, publications, technology prototypes, and also commercial products. And some of those commercial products, we are already seeing them getting into the market through the spin-off companies. So at a point after several years of supporting this Hydrogen South Africa program, whose main objective, by the way, is to locally beneficiate our PGMs, platinum group metals, through the development of technologies along the hydrogen and fuel cell value chain. And this is where we use platinum as a catalyst. That platinum interacts with hydrogen, which is converted into electricity through an electrochemical reaction. And the only byproduct that you get out of that process is water in the form of steam. But more importantly, the product that you are looking for is clean electricity. So that's really where the PGMs come in. They are a very effective catalyst for that reaction in the fuel cell itself, but also in hydrogen production, where you've got renewable energy. You use that to power electrolyzers that break water into hydrogen and oxygen. You also need PGMs to catalyze that process. So the PGMs indeed are a very key ingredient in the hydrogen economy. And as a country, we are fortunate enough that we have got 75% of the known reserves. I think that places us in a very good position to contribute not only to our own local hydrogen economy, but to the global hydrogen economy at large. So after years of implementing the Hydrogen South Africa program, we then realized that we needed an overarching national roadmap that would then take us, facilitate taking some of these technologies to market. And that led to the development of the Hydrogen Society Roadmap, which was launched by Minister Nzimande in February 2022. So what you see on your screen on the other side is, those are the high-level outcomes. So again, by comparison, if you look at the bottom left-hand side of the screen, where we were typically looking at RDI outputs, now we are looking at outcomes from that industrialization initiative that is driven by, or rather through the roadmap. So that's how we see some of our RDI initiatives evolving over time. And so typically what we now seeing is other government departments coming on board to play their role. For instance, if you look at decarbonization of transport, naturally the Department of Transport will take a lead on that. decarbonization of energy-intensive industry, you would expect our sister department, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, to take a lead on that. With regards to power in particular, you expect the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy to take a lead on that. So those are the high-level outcomes that will also be reflected in some of the slides that will come. This is just to indicate the overall vision and purpose of the roadmap, but it is a document that was developed through extensive stakeholder consultations. So it's not a DSI document, it's a national roadmap document. So again, this is just a representation of the same high-level outcomes, and the numbers in brackets represent the key actions that were identified by stakeholders as being necessary to implement for us to achieve those high-level outcomes, and as well as the lead department. But one of the things that we are very passionate about is to ensure that gender equality and social inclusion are an integral part of the transition to the low carbon economy. This slide here shows some of the key actions of a three time frame horizon, the short term being 2021 to 2024, and then the medium term and the long term. And we've got specific actions within those timelines. And the short term is to demonstrate some of these technologies at a scale that would demonstrate that these technologies are indeed feasible, but also commercially viable to inform adoption by industry in various sectors. So we scale up these technologies over the medium term and the long term, where we are looking at large-scale deployment, but also sector coupling in order to create jobs, but also achieve those outcomes that we indicated earlier. Here is just some of the progress that has been made to date. On the policy front, we have seen the approval of the Just Transition Framework, the hydrogen commercialization strategy that is being led by the DTIC and IDC is still being finalized. But we have also seen that some of the hydrogen-related projects have already been registered as strategic integrated projects, where they are then able to attract more resources in terms of supporting the relevant infrastructure, but also making sure that the even environmental approvals are facilitated. Here are some of the catalytic projects and where they are and where available. So there are some indicative costs in terms of what would be the required capital investment in order to execute those projects. The Core CO2 to X program is where, or project is where we are looking at capturing flue gas coming out of the coal-fired power stations, but also coal-fired boilers in general, because they exist in various industrial sectors in South Africa. And within that, we capture the CO2, combine it with green hydrogen or green ammonia and convert that into a fertilizer salt. We also try and convert where the salts are available in sufficient quantity, convert them into sulfuric acid, which is also an industrial commodity. So we believe that this demonstrates some of the catalytic projects that could form our just transition, but also try to find the link between the existing industry, which is mostly fueled by coal, linking that to the incoming industry. That is where green hydrogen is very much at the core of that transition. But that will then allow us as a country to actually have our transition in a very phased but responsible way. Because if we can manage to reduce the emissions coming out of our coal generation fleet, we can still continue to generate electricity or power using those assets, and be able to do that without a negative impact on the environment. My apology. So these are the catalytic projects that also involve looking at how can we use green hydrogen to produce green steel and other green products in areas like Sasolburg and so forth. This slide here just shows almost like a country view where we demonstrate that the hydrogen economy can actually be a link to the regional economies that exist within our country. For instance, if we look at the area in Mpumalanga where most of our core assets are, we can then do CO, carbon capture and utilization, produce fertilizers that feed into the agricultural sector, sulfuric acid, which is an industrial commodity, but also those commodities can also go into hydrogen production. For instance, sulfuric acid is also a key ingredient in hydrogen production, particularly if you do seawater desalination. Green hydrogen and green ammonia can be produced where we have our best renewable assets in the Northern Cape. But then through these various commodities, those you can either transport the electricity in the form of hydrogen molecule or in the form of those hydrogen derivatives like ammonia. So what we see now is key is to ensure that all these efforts are well coordinated across government as well as the private sector. And we are in the process of now putting up or established, or maybe let me take a step back. We believe that a single coordination structure would serve the development of the hydrogen economy well. But then the question still remains on whether we want to establish that as a separate entity or look at the existing entities within the NSI, National System of Innovation, and then repurpose some of those entities to play that coordination role. So in the meantime, while we are looking at what has been done in other countries, where they've established what they call their International Hydrogen and Energy Center, we have started that process with UNIDO, and we recently got approval for some funding to support that development of institutional capacity towards that coordination structure. But we're still in the process of seeking formal cabinet approval for the establishment of such an entity. So in the meantime, we have set up an energy secretariat at SANEDI, as well as some of the supporting role through the CSIR. This is just the first approach that we would then follow if we have that International Hydrogen and Energy Center approved by Cabinet. In broadly, the idea of the coordination structure is to mobilize more resources to support the commercialization of the technologies linked to the hydrogen economy, but also to make sure that all these policy documents that we have that are supporting the hydrogen economy are implemented in a very integrated and impactful way. We also look at then supporting the development of skills to support the local manufacturing of these low carbon technologies in general. This slide here is just one showing some of the deployments that we have done over the 15-year period that we have supported the Hydrogen South Africa program. And we have typically targeted supporting a public infrastructure in support of service delivery. We have also targeted schools in order to raise awareness among the school kids of all these incoming technologies. But more importantly, we have actually supported efforts towards government's interventions on the COVID-19, where some of the fuel cells were actually deployed in hospitals to support the field hospitals linked to COVID-19. So I think we believe that through the Hydrogen South Africa RDI program, we have developed a portfolio of technologies as well as intellectual property that then allow for the development of a local industry with associated local manufacturing and job creation for the benefit of the economy. And we are looking at, of course, 15 gigawatts of electrolyzer capacity by 2040, just to give you an indication of the scale of deployments that we are looking at. So one of the things that we've always highlighted is where local capabilities exist, we prefer that even partners who are looking to locate their manufacturing facilities in South Africa, they should integrate locally developed IP. And only in instances where that local IP doesn't exist, do we then look at creating opportunities for inbound technology transfer. But all these will differ from one project to another. I think what I'm just highlighting here is the fact that there is space for both locally developed technologies as much as there is space for inbound technology where it makes sense to do so. So some of the initiatives that we have embarked upon on skills development is the training, 6-week training, for instance, of unemployed TVET graduates with relevant engineering qualifications. And these are artisans that we believe would be key to the operation, maintenance, as well as local manufacturing of fuel cell technologies. And this goes across to technologies such as energy storage technologies, battery technology in particular, for instance, where we have developed or we have put in place a consortium of universities and science councils that are doing relevant research work to support the local development of or local manufacturing of lithium-ion batteries. Our strategy is the same as in the fuel cells, where we actually target the production of value-added components to ensure that all these minerals that we have in South Africa, as well as in the SADC region, are beneficiated before they are exported to other countries. And here we are looking at precursor materials for the various chemistries of lithium-ion batteries to feed into the production of the cathode materials. So these are some of the pilot facilities that we have. For instance, this one is located in Nelspruit, and the University of Limpopo is responsible for this pilot facility. They are now working with manganese metal company, looking at production of manganese sulfate at pre-commercial scale to inform the scaling up to commercial production. Here is the facility. It's located at the University of the Western Cape, which is doing local assembly and production of lithium-ion batteries, but also looking at the battery management technologies related to that. So here are some of the prototypes that they have produced as well. And we also have introduced an internship program for 12 months, looking at unemployed TVET graduates. And so far, the program has started well, and most of those interns have been absorbed by the private sector, where they are also facilitating the training of other graduates. So these are some of the partnerships that we have. We have got partnerships across state-owned entities, both on the hydrogen economy as well as on the energy storage technologies. We also have partnerships with the private sector and small, medium enterprises in order to address the transformation issues in the industry. We also very much part of the multilateral forums, like the International Partnership for Hydrogen and Fuel Cells in the Economy, which is known as the IPHE in short. And we recently hosted the 39th edition of that meeting in Pretoria in April. We are, as I said earlier, we are working with the International Energy Agency to also stay abreast of developments in other countries, as well as UNIDO and the Hydrogen Council. But coming back home on the African continent, we also have the African Hydrogen Alliance that has been formed by the 6 countries that are mentioned, that are indicated there. And this is also to make sure that the continent benefits from these energy transitions. So just to conclude, colleagues, I think we are well positioned as a country to use the energy transition and the related technologies in support of our economic reconstruction and recovery. We believe that there is still space for continued innovation in order to improve the performance of the technologies, but also to ensure that we bring the costs down to at least being at par with incumbent technologies. In that regard, we have now initiated engagements with both the private sector and international partners in order to make sure that we execute our projects based on best global practice.